The morning sun spread a golden glow across the quiet streets of Istanbul as Barış Arduç stepped onto the balcony of his apartment. A gentle breeze carried the scent of the sea, mixing with the aroma of fresh coffee in his hand. After months of non-stop work, he finally had a rare day with no meetings, no cameras, and no rehearsals. He smiled to himself, enjoying the peaceful silence. Across the city, Elçin Sangu was also welcoming the morning with a calm heart. She had decided to spend the weekend focusing on herself, leaving behind the busy schedule that had filled every corner of her calendar. A notebook rested on her table, filled with ideas for future creative projects. She believed that the best stories often appeared when life slowed down. Neither of them knew that the day would quietly begin a new chapter. Later that afternoon, both received invitations to a charity event supporting young artists. The event was being held in a beautifully restored cultural center overlooking the Bosphorus. Musicians, painters, writers, and filmmakers from across Turkey would gather to celebrate creativity while raising funds for educational programs. Barış almost declined. He had promised himself a day of rest. Elçin hesitated as well. She had planned to spend the evening reading at home. Yet something encouraged them both to change their minds. As guests filled the elegant hall, conversations blended with soft piano music. Paintings decorated the walls, each telling a unique story through colors and shapes. The atmosphere felt warm and welcoming. Barış arrived first, greeting familiar faces with kindness. He took his time exploring the exhibition before the ceremony began. A few minutes later, Elçin entered wearing a simple yet elegant outfit that perfectly matched the evening's artistic atmosphere. She quietly admired the artwork before recognizing several colleagues from previous projects. Their paths crossed near a large painting of Istanbul at sunset. Barış noticed the painting at the same moment Elçin stopped to admire it. "It's beautiful," Barış said. "It feels almost alive," Elçin replied with a smile. They exchanged warm greetings, both pleasantly surprised by the unexpected meeting. Although they had known each other professionally for years, life had kept them occupied with separate journeys. For several minutes, they discussed the artwork instead of work. They spoke about colors, architecture, music, and the memories different places could hold. It was a refreshing conversation, free from interviews, cameras, and schedules. The event organizer soon invited everyone into the main auditorium. After inspiring speeches from young artists, the audience applauded enthusiastically. Many guests later gathered in the garden, where small lights illuminated the evening sky. Barış found himself standing beside Elçin once again. "It seems today keeps bringing us back to the same conversations," he joked. They laughed. As they walked through the garden, they discovered they shared many interests beyond acting. Both enjoyed photography. Both loved traveling without detailed plans. Both believed that the smallest moments often became the most unforgettable memories. Barış mentioned an old camera he had recently started using again. Elçin admitted she still kept printed photographs instead of storing everything on her phone. "It's nice knowing someone else still enjoys holding a real photograph," Barış said. "It feels more personal," Elçin replied. Their conversation flowed naturally. There was no need to impress each other. No pressure. Only genuine curiosity. Nearby, a young musician began playing an acoustic guitar. Several guests gathered to listen. Without realizing it, Barış and Elçin remained together for nearly an hour. The evening passed quickly. Before leaving, the organizer thanked both of them for attending and suggested collaborating on future charity projects involving arts education. The idea immediately interested them. Helping young people discover creative opportunities felt meaningful. Outside the venue, the city lights reflected beautifully across the Bosphorus. "I enjoyed tonight," Barış said. "So did I. We should continue our conversation sometime." "I'd like that." They exchanged friendly smiles before heading toward their cars. Neither considered the meeting extraordinary. Yet both drove home thinking about the conversations more than expected. The following week became unexpectedly busy. Barış returned to filming. Elçin attended several creative workshops and meetings. Still, every now and then, one of them would remember a sentence from that evening. One afternoon, Barış came across a photography exhibition announcement and immediately thought of Elçin. After a brief moment of hesitation, he sent her a message. "I found an exhibition that might interest you. If you're free this Saturday, perhaps we could visit." A few minutes later, her reply appeared. "I was hoping you'd suggest something like that." Saturday arrived with bright skies and comfortable weather. The gallery occupied a historic building filled with black and white photographs capturing everyday life across different cities. Instead of rushing from picture to picture, they paused to appreciate each image. Some photographs showed quiet streets. Others captured children laughing in parks. A few displayed fishermen preparing their boats before sunrise. Each photograph inspired another conversation. "What do you think makes a photograph unforgettable?" Elçin asked. Barış considered the question carefully. "The emotion behind it," he answered. "I agree. You can always tell when someone captures a moment instead of simply taking a picture." She smiled. "Exactly." Hours passed almost unnoticed. After leaving the gallery, they found a small cafe nearby overlooking the water. The afternoon sun painted shimmering reflections across the sea. Coffee cups rested between them as conversations shifted from photography to books, travel dreams, favorite films, and childhood memories. There was something unexpectedly comfortable about spending time together. Neither felt the need to fill every silence. Even the quiet moments seemed meaningful. As evening approached, clouds slowly gathered above the city. A gentle rain began falling. People hurried for cover, but Barış and Elçin remained beneath the cafe's awning, watching raindrops dance across the waterfront. "It's peaceful," Elçin said softly. Barış nodded. "Sometimes the simplest days become the ones we remember the longest." She looked toward the rain-covered skyline before smiling. "I think today might become one of those days." Neither of them realized that this simple afternoon had quietly laid the foundation for a friendship that would soon grow into something neither had expected. Far beyond the fading rain clouds, Istanbul continued its rhythm as evening lights awakened across the city, unaware that two familiar hearts had just taken the very first step toward an unforgettable new story. The following Monday arrived with the familiar rhythm of busy schedules, early meetings, and creative commitments. Yet something had quietly changed. Barış found himself looking through the photographs he had taken at the exhibition. Most of them captured ordinary scenes: a narrow street, sunlight reflecting through old windows, a couple of boats resting near the shore. But one photograph stood out. It showed the rainy waterfront just before sunset, with soft reflections dancing across the water. He smiled. It reminded him not only of the beautiful view but also of the conversations that had made the afternoon memorable. Across the city, Elçin was organizing notes for a new creative project when her phone displayed a message. "I found another photography walk happening this weekend. It isn't crowded, and the route looks interesting." She read the message twice before replying. "That sounds perfect. Count me in." Saturday morning welcomed them with clear skies and fresh air. The meeting point was a quiet neighborhood filled with colorful buildings, small cafes, and narrow streets lined with flowering balconies. Instead of rushing toward famous landmarks, the organizers encouraged everyone to notice small details. A weathered wooden door. A bicycle resting beside a stone wall. Fresh bread cooling outside a neighborhood bakery. Barış and Elçin naturally drifted into the same group as they explored. "This challenge is harder than I expected," Barış admitted while adjusting his camera. "Why?" "I'm trying to photograph moments instead of places." Elçin laughed gently. That's exactly what makes photography special. Throughout the walk, they encouraged one another to notice scenes that others often overlooked. Children drawing with colorful chalk. An elderly man carefully watering flowers outside his home. A street musician smiling as passers-by paused to listen. Each moment reminded them that beauty often existed in everyday life. When the walk ended, participants gathered inside a small cafe where everyone's favorite photographs were displayed on a screen. To Bari's surprise, one of his images received enthusiastic applause. It was a simple photograph of sunlight shining through tree leaves onto an empty park bench. The organizer smiled. This picture tells a story without showing a single person. Baris thanked everyone, but his attention quickly turned toward Elsin. Her favorite photograph had captured a young girl helping her younger brother tie his shoelaces. Several people commented on the warmth the image conveyed. "You have a wonderful eye for emotion," Baris said. "So do you," Elsin replied. "The difference is that you notice light. And you notice people." They both laughed. After leaving the event, neither was eager to end the afternoon. A nearby park overlooked the Bosphorus, so they decided to continue walking. Families enjoyed picnics beneath large trees while children flew colorful kites across the open grass. The atmosphere felt relaxed. For a while, they simply observed the peaceful surroundings. "Do you ever wish life moved a little slower?" Elsin asked. "More often than I admit. Sometimes I think we're always chasing the next deadline." Baris nodded thoughtfully. "And we forget to enjoy the days between them." A comfortable silence followed. It wasn't awkward. It felt familiar. As they continued walking, they discovered another shared interest. Both enjoyed collecting books during their travels. Not expensive editions. Just books connected to places they had visited. "I always write the date inside the cover," Elsin said. "So years later, I remember exactly where I found it." Baris smiled. "I do something similar." "You do?" "I place a small photograph inside each book." She looked pleasantly surprised. "That's a wonderful idea." They spent nearly an hour exchanging stories about bookstores hidden along quiet streets, unexpected discoveries during vacations, and favorite novels that had stayed with them for years. By late afternoon, they reached a small outdoor market where local artists displayed handmade crafts. One booth featured watercolor paintings of Istanbul. Another offered carefully crafted leather notebooks. A third displayed handmade bookmarks painted with tiny landscapes. Elsin paused in front of a table filled with journals. "They're beautiful." Baris picked up one with a deep blue cover. "It looks like something you'd enjoy using." She smiled. "I was thinking the same thing." Without saying anything else, Baris purchased the journal and handed it to her. A small reminder of today. Elsin looked genuinely touched. "You didn't have to." "I know. Thank you." She carefully held the journal as though it already contained precious memories waiting to be written. Moments later, she quietly stepped into another nearby shop. When she returned, she handed Baris a small wrapped package. "For you." He opened it. Inside was a vintage-style camera strap made from soft leather. "It's perfect. I thought your old camera deserved something special." He smiled warmly. "I'll use it on every photography trip." As evening approached, the market lights slowly illuminated the streets. Music drifted through the air from a nearby violinist. People wandered between the stalls, enjoying the peaceful atmosphere. Neither Baris nor Elsin noticed how naturally they had begun creating new traditions together. A photography walk. A quiet cafe. A thoughtful gift. Conversations that never seemed to run out. Before saying goodbye, Elsin looked toward the water where the last colors of sunset reflected across the Bosphorus. "I've realized something." What is it? No matter how busy the week becomes, these afternoons remind me to slow down. Barış nodded. I feel the same. He paused before continuing. I'm glad we decided to accept that invitation a few weeks ago. So am I. They exchanged warm smiles before heading home. That night, Barış attached the new camera strap to his favorite camera. Meanwhile, Elçin opened the blue journal and wrote her very first entry. She described the colorful streets, the cheerful conversations, the photographs, and the peaceful feeling that had followed her throughout the day. At the bottom of the page, she added one final sentence. Sometimes the most meaningful journeys begin with the simplest conversations. Neither of them knew what the coming weeks would bring. But both quietly hoped that this new friendship would continue to grow, one shared moment at a time, as another chapter of their story was just beginning.